All right, so welcome to our deep dive today. We're focusing on something super exciting, becoming a dramaturge. And more specifically, we're going to help you prep for that interview. We've got this awesome stack of resources from RoleCatcher, career guides, interview guides. They even have some really cool AI tools. So it's like, having a cheat sheet to help you kind of, navigate your way through the theatrical world.
And it's really encouraging too, because RoleCatcher, they've identified dramaturge as like a growing field, so there's a real need for those skills out there.
That's fantastic to hear. Okay, so you're someone who just loves theater. I mean, you love getting deep into plays, analyzing the characters, the themes, the whole structure of it all. But how do you actually, convey that passion in an interview setting?
Well, that's where these RoleCatcher resources really come into play, like specifically their interview guide. They have this awesome list of like the most common questions you might encounter, and we're going to break those down, one by one and help you kind of figure out how to approach them.
That sounds great. Let's start with one that seems pretty simple on the surface. How did you become interested in dramaturgy?
Right, right. And, it might seem basic, but this is your golden opportunity to really tell your story. The interviewer wants to see that genuine passion, that spark that drew you to this field.
So, just giving them a textbook definition of dramaturgy is not really going to cut it, huh?
No, not at all. Think about a specific moment. Like, what was that light bulb moment for you? Was it seeing a particular play? Was it some kind of backstage experience? Was it, a conversation with a theater professional that really ignited your interest? And try to, really bring that moment to life for them.
And I'm guessing, too, that they're looking for you to demonstrate, your actual knowledge of the field, right?
Absolutely. As you're telling your story, try to weave in, some of the core concepts of dramaturgy. Show them that you understand what this role is all about, the depth, the complexities, all of it.
Okay, so let's say, for example, you were really inspired by a particular play, right? Could you talk about how the playwright's use of language or the symbolism, how that resonated with you?
Exactly. Exactly. Or maybe, you had this incredible backstage experience, and you could talk about how you observed the dramaturge's role in actually shaping that production. Show them that you've been paying attention, you're actively engaged.
Okay, so you've told this really captivating story about your, dramaturgical origins. What kind of follow-up questions might they ask you about that?
Well, they might want you to kind of elaborate on specific aspects of your story. So for instance, to say something like, what was it about that particular play that really resonated with you? Or, how did that backstage experience actually shape your understanding of what dramaturgy is all about? Just be prepared to kind of go a little deeper.
And this is where, the RoleCatcher AI feedback tool can be really helpful, right? You can practice your answers, and the AI actually analyzes it and gives you tips on how to make it even stronger.
Yeah, exactly. It can highlight areas where, you could be more specific or where you could inject a bit more passion or, where you could really showcase that deep knowledge of dramaturgy that you have.
It's like having a virtual dramaturgy coach right there in your pocket. Okay, so let's move on to the next question that RoleCatcher highlights in their guide, and it's what are the key responsibilities of a dramaturge? Now, this one, seems pretty straightforward.
Right. It seems pretty simple, but it's a chance to show them you really get, the scope of this role. Remember, being a dramaturge, it's so much more than just reading plays.
So, hit them with a well-organized list of the key tasks involved.
Exactly. It's mentioned researching and analyzing scripts, providing historical and cultural context, collaborating with directors and actors, even making recommendations for revisions to the script.
And this is where those skills that RoleCatcher outlines in their career guide, they really come in handy. They list things like writing, reading comprehension, active listening, critical thinking as being super crucial. And they actually have percentages attached to each skill, showing how important they are for different job titles.
Yes, and you can connect those skills back to your answer. So for example, you could say something like, having strong reading comprehension skills is essential for analyzing these scripts, right? And then critical thinking helps me pinpoint potential areas for improvement when I'm looking at script revisions.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
So any potential follow-up questions here that we should be prepared for?
Yeah, they might ask you to delve deeper into a specific responsibility. So they might say, tell me more about how you approach script analysis. What's your actual process? Or how do you handle disagreements with the director about your interpretation of a particular scene?
Okay, so you've nailed the responsibilities part. Now let's move on to the next question, which is, how do you approach script analysis? And this feels like, where you really get to show off those analytical muscles.
It is. This question is all about your process for dissecting a play, really getting under the hood.
So it's not enough to just say, I read the script carefully.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
You want to walk them through your process. Mention things like identifying the key themes and motifs, doing research into the historical and cultural context, analyzing character development, plot structure, all the good stuff.
And don't forget to give them some examples, right?
Absolutely. Bring your experience to life. Talk about specific scripts you've analyzed and how your insights actually shaped the production.
Okay, so, for instance, you could talk about a time where your research, maybe into the historical context of a play, led you to, like, a brand new understanding of a character's motivation.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe you uncovered a recurring motif in the play, and that helped you illuminate the playwright's themes. There's so many different ways you can approach this.
I'm curious, what kind of follow-up questions might they ask you here?
They might ask about a specific challenge that you faced during script analysis, or how you handled a disagreement with a director about your interpretation. Just be ready to share some, real-world examples that highlight those problem-solving skills and your communication skills, show them you can handle those tricky situations.
And again, like we were saying earlier, that AI feedback tool from RoleCatcher, it can help you really refine your answers and practice different scenarios and get that specific advice to make your responses even more impactful.
It really is like having that personal dramaturgy coach right there with you.
All right, fantastic. Let's tackle the next question from RoleCatcher's Guide, and it's, how do you collaborate with directors and actors? I have a feeling this one's all about teamwork.
It absolutely is. Theater is this collaborative art form, and a dramaturge is such a vital part of that team. And this question is all about showcasing those communication skills and those interpersonal skills that you bring to the table.
So basically, walk them through how you build those relationships and contribute to a positive creative environment.
Exactly. Highlight things like active listening, clear communication, your willingness to compromise. And again, those examples, they really bring it all to life.
Okay, so what would a strong answer sound like here?
You could say something like, I really believe in open and honest communication with directors and actors. I always make sure to actively listen to their perspectives, and I offer my insights in a constructive and collaborative manner. For example, during a recent production of Hamlet, I worked really closely with the actor playing the lead role to help him understand the character's motivations and really delve deeper into the text.
Oh, that's a great example.
Yeah.
Now, what about potential follow-up questions for this one?
They might ask you to describe a time when you had to navigate a tricky conversation with a director or an actor, or how you handle disagreements over creative decisions. So this is your chance to show that you can be both assertive and diplomatic, that you can stand your ground while also respecting everyone's artistic vision.
Right, right. Okay, so far, we've covered some, pretty meaty questions. But it's not just about the nuts and bolts of the job, right? They also want to see that you're staying current, on top of all the trends and developments in the theater world. And RoleCatcher has a question in their guide that addresses that. How do you stay current on trends and developments in the theater industry?
Yeah, and this is where you show your dedication to lifelong learning, right? The interviewer wants to know that you're passionate about this craft and that you're actively seeking out new knowledge, new inspiration.
So, like, just saying you subscribe to Theater Weekly is probably not going to cut it, huh?
Probably not. You want to be specific, Talk about going to conferences, attending workshops, theater festivals, maybe even taking courses. Mention reading new plays, following blogs, engaging in discussions online.
And this is where knowing those different career stages that RoleCatcher outlines, that can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Because they offer those insights into the typical responsibilities and growth paths for dramaturgists.
Right, exactly. Whether you're entry-level, junior, or senior, there are always opportunities to learn and grow. And mentioning that you're aware of those different stages, and actively seeking out ways to advance shows initiative.
All right, we're on a roll here. Let's tackle the next question, and it is, how do you handle conflicts or disagreements with directors or playwrights? I feel like this is where things can get, a little dramatic, maybe?
Well, every creative process involves some degree of friction. The interviewer wants to know that you can handle those disagreements, with grace and professionalism.
So, like, talk about being a peacemaker, a mediator.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's more about showing that you can communicate effectively, that you can listen to different perspectives, and that you can find solutions that respect everyone's artistic vision.
Okay, so give us an example here. Like, what would a good answer sound like?
You could say something like, I really believe that conflicts, when they're handled constructively, can actually lead to creative breakthroughs. So, if a disagreement arises, I make sure to stay calm, respectful, actively listen to what the other person is saying. And then I try to find a solution that addresses their concerns while also remaining true to the play's intentions.
And remember, honesty is key, right? Like, don't pretend you've never encountered conflict in this field.
Absolutely. Be genuine. Share an example from your own experience, a time when you successfully navigated a challenging situation. Maybe it was a disagreement over a script interpretation or, just a personality clash during rehearsals.
I bet those real-world examples really make an impression.
Yeah.
Any potential follow-up questions that could pop up here?
They might ask you to describe your conflict resolution style or to give a specific example of a time when you had a compromise. This is your opportunity to show that you can be both flexible and assertive.
All right, let's move on to the next question, which is all about assessing impact, right?
Yeah.
RoleCatcher asks, how do you evaluate the success of a production?
Yes. This is a question that goes beyond, just the box office numbers. They want to know you understand the multifaceted nature of theatrical success.
So, like, ticket sales aren't the only metric.
Absolutely not. Think about things like critical reception, audience engagement, even the impact that the production has on the community.
And this is where those core dramaturgical skills of analysis and critical thinking come back into play.
Exactly, exactly. Talk about how you gather feedback from different sources, reviews, audience surveys, post-show discussions. Explain how you analyze that feedback to assess the production's strengths and weaknesses.
And, of course, don't forget those concrete examples.
Yeah, share specific productions you've been involved with and discuss how you measured their success. Maybe a play sparked important conversations in the community or received really rave reviews from critics.
All right, fantastic. Let's tackle the next question, and it is, how do you handle multiple projects and competing deadlines? This feels relevant to just about every job out there.
It is. The interviewer wants to get a sense of your time management skills, your organizational skills, how you handle the pressure.
So don't just say you're good at multitasking.
Right, exactly. Give them a more structured answer. Talk about your process for prioritizing tasks, setting realistic deadlines, breaking large projects into those smaller, manageable chunks.
And this is where those RoleCatcher AI features can really come in handy, according to their site.
Absolutely. Their platform can help you track your progress on different projects, and it even offers these AI-powered suggestions for optimizing your workflow. It's like having a virtual assistant to help you stay organized and on track.
Okay, any potential follow-up questions here that we should anticipate?
They might ask you to describe a time when you had to juggle multiple projects under really tight deadlines, or how you handle those unexpected challenges that, inevitably disrupt your schedule. Be ready with real-world examples that demonstrate your adaptability, your ability to stay focused under pressure.
Okay, great. So we've talked about individual skills, but leadership is also really important, right? And RoleCatcher asks about that too. They have a question that says, how do you mentor and develop junior members of your team?
Yes, and this question is all about your ability to guide and inspire others. The interviewer wants to know that you're not just a skilled dramaturge yourself, but you're also a supportive colleague who can contribute to the growth of others.
So highlight those mentoring moments, those teaching moments that you've had.
Exactly. Share examples of times when you've mentored junior dramaturges, maybe interns. Talk about the guidance you provided, the feedback you offered, and the opportunities you created for them to learn and grow.
And even if you haven't had like formal mentoring experience, you can still showcase those leadership qualities.
Absolutely. Think about times when you've helped colleagues, shared your knowledge, or taken initiative to improve team processes.
All right, perfect. Let's move on to a question that's, incredibly relevant in today's world. RoleCatcher asks, how do you approach collaborating with diverse communities and perspectives?
Yeah, and this is where you show your commitment to inclusivity and your ability to work effectively with people from different backgrounds and with different viewpoints.
So it's more than just saying, I value diversity, right?
Much more. Share specific examples of how you've incorporated those diverse perspectives into your work. Maybe you've collaborated with community groups, sought out plays by underrepresented playwrights, or actively engaged with audience members from different backgrounds.
And this ties back to those essential dramaturgical skills of active listening and empathy, which RoleCatcher also highlights in their career guide.
Absolutely. Those skills are crucial for understanding and appreciating different perspectives, which ultimately enriches the creative process.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here, but we're just getting started.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of the dramaturge.
We're still, exploring those kind of tricky interview questions using all the awesome resources from RoleCatcher.
And don't forget, our goal is to, help you craft answers that really showcase you, your passion, your knowledge, all that.
Exactly. All right, so let's jump into the next question on RoleCatcher's list. It's, how do you see the role of a dramaturge in relation to the audience?
This one, it really kind of probes your understanding of, how a dramaturge actually makes that audience experience better.
So it's not just about serving the director and the playwright.
Right. It's not exclusively. Of course, collaborating with that creative team, that's essential. But a good dramaturge is also thinking about, how the audience understands the play, how engaged they are.
So it's almost like you're a translator then, kind of bridging that gap between, the world of the play and the audience's experience of it.
That's a really good way to put it. You have to analyze the script from so many angles. How are these themes going to resonate with the audience? Are there any cultural or historical references that might need a little bit of clarification?
It sounds like a real balancing act,
Yeah.
making sure the play's integrity is there, but also that it's accessible to, a diverse audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for example, you might provide those program notes, or maybe lead discussions after the show, or even suggest tiny little textual adjustments to make things clearer, but all while staying true to what the playwright intended, of course.
Right, of course. Okay, so give us an example. What would be a strong answer if you were asked that question? What would you say?
Well, I'd really emphasize that idea of the dramaturge being a bridge, between the play's world and the audience's understanding of it. I might say something like, I see the dramaturge as an advocate, really, for both the play and the audience. I want to make sure the production is, artistically strong, but also that a lot of different people can connect with it. So that might mean, program notes, post-show discussions, even suggesting some textual tweaks for clarity.
That's a great example. Now, what about those follow-up questions, those sneaky ones they throw in there? What if they ask about those?
Well, they might ask you to describe a specific time when you had to make a tough decision about that balance, between artistic integrity and making sure the audience can actually follow what's going on. So that's your chance to show that you can think critically, that you can make decisions that help both the production and the audience.
And this is another spot where that RoleCatcher AI feedback can be a lifesaver, right? You can practice those answers, and the AI will analyze them and give you advice on how to, improve.
It's like having a coach, just for interviews, helping you figure out how to make your answers even better.
Okay, let's tackle this next one. It's about something that every creative person has to deal with at some point, and that's criticism. RoleCatcher asks, how do you handle negative feedback on a production you've worked on?
Ooh, yeah. This question is all about showing them that you can take criticism and actually use it, not just let it get to you.
Right, because let's face it, not every play is going to be a smash hit.
Exactly. Theater, it's subjective, everyone's going to have an opinion. So the interviewer wants to know, can you handle those negative opinions gracefully? And can you actually learn and grow from them?
So definitely avoid getting all defensive and, taking it personally.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You want to emphasize that you can listen, really listen, without letting your ego get in the way. Can you separate constructive criticism from someone just being mean? And can you pull out the nuggets of truth even from negative feedback?
Okay, so walk us through it. How would you actually answer this question?
I might say something like, I think all feedback, even the negative kind, it can teach you something. I try to approach criticism with an open mind, okay, what can I learn from this? I listen to what they're saying, think about who's saying it and whether it makes sense. And then I use that feedback to figure out, okay, what can I do better next time?
And what if they push you for a specific example, like they want to hear a story?
Have one ready. Share a time when you got tough feedback and how you handled it. Maybe a critic really hated a play you worked on, or someone in the audience told you they were disappointed. Explain how you took that in and what you learned from it.
And those career stages that RoleCatcher outlines, those can be helpful here too, right? Early in your career, criticism might sting a bit more, but as you gain experience, you learn to handle it better.
Oh, for sure. Showing that you're aware of that growth, that shows maturity, self-awareness, all that good stuff.
Okay, let's dig into the next question. This one's all about research, which is a big part of what a dramaturge does. RoleCatcher asks, describe a time when your research really made a difference in a production.
Ah, yes, the detective work. This is your time to shine, to show them how good your research skills are and how those skills actually translate into, making the play better.
So you get to be a bit of a theater detective here.
Exactly. Think about times when you dug up some amazing historical detail, or you found this obscure cultural reference that no one else knew about, or maybe your research helped clarify what the playwright was really trying to say.
You don't just tell them about the research process itself. Explain how those discoveries actually impacted the production.
Right. Did your research lead to changes in the set design? Did it inspire the director to interpret a scene in a different way? Did it help the actors understand their characters better?
Okay, give us a for instance, like paint us a picture of how this might work in real life.
Okay, let's say I'm working on a play set in Victorian England, right? And through my research, I find out that this specific type of fabric mentioned in the script, it was super fashionable back then, but it was also connected to a certain social class. So I share this with the costume designer, and they use that information when they're choosing clothes for the characters. Suddenly, the costumes have this whole extra layer of meaning.
That's a perfect example of how, like, solid research can really feed into the overall artistic vision. What if they have some follow-up questions about your research process? What might they ask?
Well, they could ask you about the challenges you faced, how you made sure your sources were reliable, or maybe what you did if you found conflicting information. This is where you get to show them you're thorough, you think critically, and you can make sense of even complicated information.
All right, we've got time for one more question before we wrap up this part of our deep dive. This one focuses on a skill that's become, so important in theater these days, and that's technology. RoleCatcher asks, how do you incorporate technology into your work as a dramaturge?
Ooh, yeah, the tech stuff. This question is about showing that you can adapt, that you're willing to embrace new tools and techniques. Technology is changing theater so fast, and a good dramaturge needs to keep up.
So just mentioning you're a whiz at Microsoft Word, that's probably not going to blow them away.
Probably not. Think about specific programs or online resources that help you do your job better. Maybe you use some kind of digital tool for analyzing scripts, or research databases for historical context, or online platforms for collaborating with, the director and the designers.
And of course, RoleCatcher itself is a really powerful tool for dramaturges, right?
Oh, absolutely. Their AI features can help streamline your research, give you personalized feedback on your interview answers, and even connect you with potential employers.
Okay, so what would be a good example of how to answer this technology question?
I might say something like, I really believe in using technology to make my work stronger. I use digital tools all the time for script analysis. Like, I can track themes, find recurring symbols, even map out how the characters relate to each other. And I rely a lot on online databases to find historical documents, scholarly articles, and critical analyses. All that stuff helps me understand the play on a deeper level.
Fantastic. Now, any potential follow-up questions lurking here?
They might ask for specific examples of how technology has actually improved your work, or what you think about the role of technology in the future of theater. This is your chance to show them that you're not just comfortable with technology, but that you're excited about what it can bring to the art form.
And that's a wrap on part 2 of our Dramaturge Deep Dive.
Mm.
And welcome back to our deep dive into the world of becoming a dramaturge.
We're in the final act now, breaking down these interview questions with the help of RoleCatcher.
And remember, these aren't just hurdles to get through. They're chances to, really showcase your passion for this field.
Exactly, yeah. Each question is an opportunity. So let's dive into this next one from RoleCatcher's Guide. It's pretty specific. What are your thoughts on the role of a dramaturge in new play development?
Interesting. This feels like it goes beyond just analyzing existing plays, right? This is about new work.
You got it. It's about supporting those new voices, helping to shape the future of theater. A dramaturge plays such a key role in nurturing new plays, from the very first idea to opening night.
So it's not just, giving feedback on a finished script. It's more involved than that.
Way more. Think of it like, I don't know, being a midwife for a play. You're there from the very beginning, helping the playwright bring those ideas to life.
Oh, I love that analogy. So how would you approach this question in an interview setting? What would you actually say?
Well, I'd really stress the collaborative side of new play development. You're working hand in hand with the playwright, offering your insights on everything from character development to the plot structure, the themes, all of it.
And you're also a champion for that play, right? Like helping to get it produced, making sure people actually see it.
Exactly, exactly. You could say something like, I see the dramaturge as a crucial partner in new play development. I'm there to support the playwright every step of the way, offering feedback, helping to shape their vision into a truly compelling theatrical experience.
And I'm sure sharing some specific examples of your experience working on new plays would really drive that point home.
For sure. Talk about the challenges you faced, the creative solutions you came up with, and how your contributions impacted the final product. Those real-life stories always make a difference.
Okay, let's move on to a question that honestly might make some folks uncomfortable. But it's an important one. RoleCatcher asks, can you describe a time when you had to deliver difficult feedback to a director or playwright?
Yeah, this one can be tricky, but it's really about demonstrating your communication skills and your ability to, handle sensitive situations with grace.
Because let's be real, in theater, just like in life, not everything goes smoothly all the time.
Oh, absolutely. There will be times when you have to voice your concerns, offer criticism, and the interviewer wants to know you can do that in a way that's both honest and respectful.
So it's not about just being a yes person, agreeing with everything.
Definitely not. It's about finding that balance, being assertive, but also diplomatic. You might say something like, I believe in open communication, being upfront, but I also get that it's super important to respect the artist's vision. So when I need to give tough feedback, I try to do it in a way that's constructive, focused on solutions.
And again, those real-world examples are so powerful.
You got it. Be ready to share a specific situation where you had to give that difficult feedback. How did you approach it? How did the other person react? What was the end result?
This is another spot where that AI feedback tool from RoleCatcher can be really helpful.
Oh, for sure. You can practice giving that tough feedback in a simulated setting, and the AI will give you tips on how to make it even better.
Okay, let's wrap up our deep dive with one final question. It's a big one. Where do you see the future of dramaturgy heading?
Ah, yeah. This is your chance to show them you're not just passionate about dramaturgy, you're thinking about the big picture, where it's all going.
It's about being engaged with how the art form evolving.
Exactly. So think about those trends that are shaping theater right now. How is technology changing the way we create and experience theater? What new ways of telling stories are popping up? How can dramaturges help make theater more inclusive, more accessible to everybody?
So many possibilities. It's exciting.
Right. Share your vision for the future of dramaturgy, Paint them a picture of a vibrant, dynamic field where dramaturges play a vital role in pushing the boundaries of storytelling on stage.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into becoming a dramaturge. We've covered so much ground today, from analyzing those tricky interview questions to exploring how AI can give you an edge in your job search.
Remember that spark that led you to this path, that passion for theater. Hold on to that as you prepare for your interviews.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher has a ton of resources to help you along the way, both free and premium. So check them out and break a leg out there.
That's right. Break a leg.
And curtain.